G'day ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another South African little video. Alright ladies and gentlemen, in this video we will go from our water source to distributing the water to our solenoids by using a manifold. The solenoids will then open and close, supplying our different zones or stations with water, which will be timed by an irrigation timer, which will be here somewhere. Well, now you're probably saying, well, Mirik, I've seen one of those irrigation systems. It looks very complicated and expensive. Why can't I just use my tap and add a hose pipe to it and irrigate my lawn? Well, very simply, there's two things that stand out. And the first thing is your manifold will allow to set up how many ever zones you would require, so that there's pipes running to all different sections of your yard or whichever place that you want to irrigate. The second very important thing is automation. This will allow us to irrigate even when we're not here, or even when we might forget to irrigate. The only downside I see to something like this is that natural instinct of when to water against when not to water. Maybe let's say it's raining. But with that being said, we can go to such an extent that we can even add something like a moisture sensor in the soil to tell our irrigation system when to irrigate. Okay, so the first thing we need to talk about is the manifold. Now there's a few different options that we can use. At the back section of my yard, I'm using a PVC or a plastic manifold, which comes preset, and you can screw I think 4 or 5 zones into that manifold. On the front section here, I'm going to use this galvanized pipe. And hopefully what I'm going to achieve by using galvanized is to have it a little bit more sturdy. This is a very heavy metalish type of setup, so hopefully it'll be a bit more sturdy. The only real downside I can see to a setup like this is because it's very simple to use. As you can see, everywhere there's thread, so it's very simple. We'll get to that, is that it might have a limited lifespan. Now I think depending on the water that you push through this could corrode in the shortest time is probably 15 years and could last up to 50 years. So it's not really a downside. I mean, in that time a lot can happen. And obviously a huge plus side is, you can see how simple it is to assemble these things. We'll get to that now. Guys, let's talk about the positioning. There's a few options where we can put this whole irrigation system of us. The first most logical option that we can think of is in ground. We can use a valve box or irrigation box and put this stuff where no one will see it. But I've gone with the option of putting it in your face here on the wall. And why did I do that? Because it's a bit of a status thing, you know. I want people to drive in here, this is the front of my house, and come in here and see, this guy's got irrigation. He's obviously got a bit of an upper hand over us. Honey, why don't we have an irrigation system keeping our yards green? The only thing I'll have to keep in mind is to do it very neat, because it might just turn out a royal mess like 90% of my other projects. Okay guys, let's talk about the assembly of this thing. So I will have water fed into the one side, and then we're going to use this fittings to connect everything, and then these parts here will connect to the solenoids. Okay guys, I'm not going to bore you with going step by step through this whole thing. As you can see, all these fittings are threaded. It's really, really simple. Like literally, you just take your elbow and thread a nipple in there. I know that's the weirdest name. I still can't use that name without, I mean, it's just weird, whatever. And then it screws into the T-piece, and then this nipple screws onto your solenoid again.
Putting in the sprinklers, connecting the pipes. I'm dreaming of waters, 10 days and nights. Living the dream, watching it stream. Still only a dream of a water stream. Just let it flow, Mr. Hunter, from sand to wonderland. Let it spray, Mr. Rain.
Alright, and here I've got my solenoid. I'm going to screw this wired part out that actually activates the valve, so that it makes it easier to screw it in. But very easily there's a directional arrow that shows you how the water flows. I'm going to go from the top through here. My water's going to enter there. Actually, this is the wrong way around. And I'm going to just very simply screw this on here like that. Ooh. There we go.
Just let it flow, Mr. Hunter, from sand to wonderland. Let it spray, Mr. Rainbow, transform this place from desert.
All right, and I'm going to screw this assembled manifold and solenoid lines onto my main water supply right here. There's already a valve here. It's been here for a year. That's how long this project has been delayed, but whatever. And before I mount anything to the wall, I want to try and, conclude all of this assembling of this. It just makes it a lot easier.
Just let it flow, Mr. Hunter, from sand to wonderland. Let it spray, Mr. Rainbow, transform this place from desert. Just let it flow, Mr. Hunter, from sand to wonderland. Let it spray, Mr. Rainbow, transform this place from desert. Just let it flow, Mr. Hunter, from sand.
Right, lekker mense, so the manifold and the solenoids are mounted quite the proper. Even if I have to say so myself, you can absolutely yank on this thing and it's going nowhere. Okay, lekker. So now finally I can install my waterproof box in which my timer will come, which will obviously turn on these solenoid valves, putting water and all that. So I'm not 100% sure why I'm doing all this effort, because my borehole is almost run completely dry. And I've gone for orange. That won't stick out like a sore thumb. Okay, so for the mounting of this thing, it'll take 4 wool plugs mounted on each corner of this box, on the inside obviously. And I've got 2 different 10mm, which I think is the appropriate size for this thing, wool plugs. This one, that is a 10 by 100mm, which will take approximately 4.5 years to drill. Or I've got these ones, which is quite the opposite. I think they sell them in the toy section. Yeah, just going to take these and hope for the best. There's trees in the way here. I'm just going to cut a few small branches off. Okay, so for the mounting, I'm not going to take you through the whole process. This box here, which is my electric fence energizer and whatever, is quite significantly bigger than the box that I'm going to put up for the irrigation. However, the only thing I'm going to keep in mind is to keep it obviously, hopefully level, and then on the same level as this existing one, so that they kind of look like they were meant to be next to each other.
System on the wall, are you the greatest of them all? Galvanized manifold, precious water you hold. Fast flows the water, high is the pressure, ready to unleash a stream of pleasure. Let's water this place just right. The current situation is desert light, fighting heat wave after wave. Hunter system spray, spray, spray. Water is everything. Level up my yard and things. Feels like a mountain in front of me. Will soon be a forest around me, me.
Okay, man, so that looks decent. Just have a look there. Mounted properly. Thank goodness I chose the smaller ones. This thing is very sturdy, and those longer ones would have taken ages. Now, just the wiring. Alrighty, so it's the next day. I'm now going to hook up my first 2 zones. The one being the lawn on the inside, and the other, the main one that I need irrigation, like quite urgently I need to sow, is the one on the outside. So I'm going to start with that one, then add the other one as well.
Greatest of them all, galvanized manifold. Precious water you hold, fast flows the water, high is the pressure.
Okay, so just talking about the fittings once again, I've got these 20mm fittings which just slip onto the pipe. I love them because as they build up pressure, it kind of tightens in the fitting. So as the pipe swells with the pressure of the water, it tightens in the fitting. And this really just slips onto the pipe very easily. And then on top here, I've got this, once again, the green side just slips onto the pipe. Then this one screws into this reducer, and this size right here, I'm not sure what it is. I think it's a 1 inch by 3/4 inch reducer right there. So it's 1 inch that goes into your solenoid valve right there.
Ready to unleash a stream of pleasure. Let's water the space just right. Current situation is desert light, fighting heat wave after wave. Hunter systems, spray. Water is everything. Level up my yard and things. Feels like a mountain in front of me. Will soon be a forest around me. Far around me. Will soon be a forest around me. Will soon be a forest around me.
Right, so I've put up some trunking. I know trunking is actually more suited for inside and conduits are used for outside, but I've used trunking here to hide my wires just so it looks a little bit more neat. Now, onto the wiring. All right, so if you've never wired up a timing system with solenoids, just listen carefully for this few seconds. One wire of each of your solenoids, does not matter which one, will serve as your neutral or your negative or your common wire. I've in this instance got 3 solenoids, so once again, doesn't matter which one of the 2 wires of each solenoid will be connected together. One from solenoid number 1, one from solenoid number 2, one from solenoid number 3. These will all be connected together and be connected to your common section on your timing system. However, this is only true for 24 volt alternating current, 24 volt AC solenoids. If you are working with a 9 or a 12 volt DC solenoid, this will not be true. You'll have one red wire and one black wire, and polarity will then be important. Then, as far as I understand, you'll connect all your black wires, your negative wires together, and one of each of your positive wires will go to a section. We'll get to that right now. Okay guys, now I'm going to talk about the connectors, how I'm going to connect these wires. If I was close enough to my timer up here in the box, I could directly wire these cables in there. However, I'm just a little bit too far, so I'm going to have to make some alternative connections. Now, the easiest connection type I know of is this right here. So how this connector works is, whatever you connect on this side right there will go straight through and come out on that side. So I'm going to try and connect all my common wires, so one of each of my solenoids in here. So what you do is you just lift it up like that. That'll open up the slot for the wires to go in, and then you can just close the lever, and that is a secure connection. If you are scared that you're getting confused with your common wires or your neutral wires or your negative wires, just get a neutral bus bar like this, or a negative bus bar. What you'll use is a bus bar. Then just squeeze every wire in there. All right, now, and very simply, one of each of the other wires is going to go into one of the other slots. So I am just going to keep it simple. Whatever I'm going to remember as zone number 1, which will be my front sections, I'm going to work it. The outer section is going to be zone number 1. The very inside section is going to be zone number 2. And the garden section is going to be zone number 3 for this irrigation system. I'm going to start off right at the end, open this lever and insert cable number 1, which I know as zone number 1. And close it up. Going to repeat this process for zone number 2 and zone number 3. Alright, so just in conclusion to this connection part, that is zone number 1 on that end, zone number 2 the second one, zone number 3 the third one, and then on the fourth one I've used that as my common bus bar, and the other cable of each of the solenoids are connected right here. Now I'm just going to close this cover up. Righto, now to extend these wires up into the irrigation control box, I'm going to use this trailer cable, which has got multi-core. I think this is a 7-core, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 core. I'll only obviously need 4, 1 for my common and 3 for my zones. The other 3 I'll just leave unused. This is 0.75 millimeter cable, which is a little bit thinner than the irrigation solenoid comes with. However, these solenoids, I think on startup they draw 1 amp, and then it goes down to roughly 0.5 amp from what I've read. So still taking that into consideration, I'm far over spec. So for every millimeter of cable, you can draw roughly 10 amps. So just for the purpose of sanity, I'm going to use the black as the common wire, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe like red, green and blue or yellow, whatever. You can choose what you want to use. Right, so I'm going to open the common lever here with my common wires. Then zone 1, I'm going to go red. Zone 2, I'm going to go green. Zone 3, I'm going to go yellow. I'm now just going to feed this wire up into the irrigation box here and leave it here for when I install my controller. Just have a look at how simple that is, guys. Right guys, and finally I'm going to install my timing system. I'm very excited. I'm going to temporarily install this. I'm just going to put it onto the actual backplate of that thing with some double-sided tape. Why am I doing that? Because in a next video I want to compare this with Sonoff's Wi-Fi 24 volt supplying switch. Don't even know what to call it. One of my subscribers sent it to me, and I'm very excited to compare that to one of these timing systems. That Sonoff switch gets you into the timing realm at a fraction of the price. I don't know if it'll work, but we'll see. I'm going to temporarily install this and take you through the wiring. This is a traditional one. This is a 6-zone, not Wi-Fi compatible, by the way, timing system from Hunter. It's the X-Core Irrigation Controller. Should be pretty similar to the Rainbird that I've already got installed on the back of my property, like the back section, whatever. Let's go do it. Yep, so I got this back full of double-sided tape. Yeah, so it doesn't actually feel half bad. It feels like it's sticking quite properly. Hopefully it lasts for the purpose of what I'm going to show now, but I will screw this onto this plate. Don't think that the heat cycles, you know, warm, cold, will do this glue any favors. Right, I'm going to open it up to expose the connection area. Okay, and very simply, I'm going to unscrew all the areas that I'm going to use. Zone number 1, zone number 2, zone number 3, as well as C, which is all those common wires we're going to wire in there. Not completely out, you just want to unscrew it a bit so there's space to push in the wire at the bottom. Just going to strip this wire. Now feed it through this opening for the wires. This is just so when you put back the cover, obviously there's a nice opening there at the bottom for it. I'm just going to cut away the unused wires here just to get them out of the way. Okay guys, so very simply I'm going to wire in the cables where they need to go. So now we need to remember that one wire from every solenoid is connected to this black wire, which I'm using as my common connection. I'm now going to connect all of these wires to the common connection right here. Now very simply, my red is zone number 1, my green is zone number 2, and my yellow is zone number 3. So I'm going to wire in red into the zone that says number 1. And now finally, the power supply. Right, and lastly, we are going to wire up our power supply. So it's not plugged in yet, but I'm going to feed this through the same cable opening, and then I'm going to wire it in to this slot that says 24 volts AC, 24 VAC. Now because it's alternating current, this doesn't have polarity, so you can wire any of these wires into any of these slots, just not the same one. Just give them a soft pull to feel if anything would fall out, but I think the wiring's done, guys. Now, strictly speaking, if we put this into a mains power supply, your municipal power supply, this whole system should turn on. Hey, and there's something happening. Okay, I'm just going to test if everything's fine. I'm going to go to manual, and I'm going to set zone number 1. Let's just go 1 minute. And then as far as I know, you just turn it back to run. Oh, yeah, can you hear the solenoid clicking? And there she goes. I haven't got nozzles inserted yet, that's why it looks so funny. Put the cover back on. Guys, and that is my irrigation system set up from the solenoids to the wiring up to your controller. I hope that has made it simple. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I covered most of the important things for dummies to go from no irrigation system to at least a pretty basic irrigation system like we've got here. There's obviously a lot more things that we can go into depth into, you know, rain sensors and Wi-Fi enabled ones where you can work them off your phone and all those type of things. But we'll hopefully cover that in following videos. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, gooi a like. If you enjoy this channel, gooi subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye-bye. And simply just shut the door and lock it. Gonna lose the key definitely.